Um, so was everyone in church last Sunday?
Yeah,
Oh, did you like the message?
absolutely. I think what I really liked the most about the message was the fact that she was like hitting it on the guys, like she gave it to them, and of course it seemed like it was hard, but I like the fact that she pointed out that the leader has to take responsibility, and that really.
I thought, yeah, that totally resonated with me. Timmy, what did you think?
I think what she said I liked was the kind of person we want to be seen with, not necessarily the person that we need in our life.
Interesting.
I also liked how real she was, and like how she even gave like practical.
As it was very
examples.
deep.
You know how when she told people to come to the front of the church.
Yeah.
So it was a very powerful message, and it was real. It was not the typical Sunday church service.
Exactly.
You can't be
Yeah.
shouting from the back.
Yeah, I know.
And Pastor Taiwo is just Eva, and Pastor Twin.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean,
It was real, for me it was real, but it also resonated because she was talking mainly to the guys anyway, but also it was the leadership thing and how she brought it to like how you behave at work and how that should actually be what you're doing at home also. And like I felt like people would have taken that, like absorbed it more because she made it more real life. So like
you know how
I
when
think
she said a lot of husbands are really good leaders at work, but
Yes.
they come home and they're just feeling
I know.
So even though she focused on the men,
Yeah.
what I would advise the women to do is put yourself in that role. Like the things that she was complaining about the guys, do I match up in this area?
Yeah.
Because it felt like it was focused on guys, but I felt like the ladies
Oh,
needed
yeah,
to
totally.
ask questions and
Yeah.
And apart from that, I felt as well because I mean there's been a lot of messages and series about how to make marriage work and everything, and then she just sums it up by saying that godly home or a marriage that works is the one that God is in it, and that for me felt very it was a summary because I mean I can't start imagining from Pastor Kola's message to even Wednesday message with Reverend Albert. There are so many things to learn.
Yes.
And then I'm like, well,
That
you know
was
what?
really
Thank
good.
God that there's a solution. God,
Yeah.
just be in it. I mean, just be in it.
I know.
That's
I
good.
like what she said, like just very simple. Find out what's God's heart about it and then just do that, and that's the end. And it felt like, okay, yes, we've been hearing a lot of things and people try to give you like list of things to do,
Yes.
but this is like very simple. Go to God. What's in his heart,
Get your
and
time,
that's
please.
it.
Yeah.
Like
Then
very
you
simple.
mentioning about
Pastor
godly
Thomas.
home being one that God is in it just made me remember Mrs. Oniola's sermon as well, and how she gave like practical examples of how she and her husband decided to make their own work. Right? It's not always easy. Like a lot of people then think that like marriage is either very bad or very good. So I think the most important thing to focus on is that marriage is not just only the husband and the wife, it involves God as well. And if God is the center, you're going to be able to find a perfect balance like between the good and the bad, and just know how to like navigate and make it work. Right?
For me, I think what I picked from Omilola's message that was really key for me was she said that she taught their children to know God for themselves. So you don't want them to lean on your own faith, because when the tough times come, they have to be able to fight based on their own faith. So for me, I think that was what was really key.
And it will even keep them in a case when their parents, for example, their parents pass away.
Very early,
You know, there are some children that will be crushed, absolutely, because their rock and their foundation has, left. So yes, and another thing I really got from her message was how she tied it up with the chemistry, the chemical formula of water, like amazing, like the two humans and the hydrogens, then the oxygen is the Holy Spirit that binds them together. That was phenomenal.
Well, I got all that, but for me as well, it I wouldn't say a formula, but I found a way of, it's like this Wonder Woman 1984 at the recent one. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The witch thing, the guy. So I felt that maybe I'm not trying to convert my children to that guy, but since from our own practical examples, it seems that God honored the prayers of our children. So I'm like, so let me see, do we need a car? Then I'll just call one of our child. Don't you think we need a car? Yes, we do. I think we need to start praying about it. You need to start praying to God about the car and all those things. I mean, it's not to use them as a tool, but from what Informa said as well, like it gives the children the opportunity to know that God really exists. You know? Most of us, maybe, I don't know whether it's Gen Z or millennial. I mean, I don't know. But most of us we're just born into it. We go to church, we go to Sunday school, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, VG, you go, everything.
No, in church, literally.
The activities cover the relationship.
Yes.
So we are just going. I mean, in children's church, you are in choir, you are in ushering, you are everywhere. But the relationship wasn't really there. I mean, we cram Bible verses, draw your sword. And then apart from that, we didn't. There was no way to put those things into practical terms. We were not. We were taken by the words. We know this Bible verse. You know, you call you back then, children. Can you give me 10 verses? Oh my uncle.
Yes. And honestly, I can actually really relate with that, because I know that personally for me, when I really so it wasn't based on what my parents had done. Of course, yes, I went to Bible studies even on Saturday. Like, it wasn't when we were going to parties, there was Bible study that I was going for when I was younger. Sorry?
Friends.
I had a lot of friends. Yeah, but I really bless God for that, because that was really foundational. At that point, it's not like I was born again, but being surrounded by that was a really good foundation. But it was when I was 14 that I now came to know God for myself. And even at that, coming to church, they didn't emphasize the relationship so much. So there was a gap. I would have this wonderful time with the Holy Spirit, read my Bible, you know, see amazing things, but I come to church and I'm hearing something else. So for a while there was this disconnect and confusion, because these are the people that have gone ahead and they should know better, you know, and all of that. But you know, with time, and I think it was just more recently that I really came to understand that, okay, it's not about how many years you have been with God, it's about the quality of the relationship.
And even going back to the issue of the children, because I feel that it starts from the foundation as well. I mean, going back to the messages that we started in January about oil of ease, power, and the Holy Spirit. I mean, you could imagine if those at that age you have that kind of relationship with God and you're able to keep it for a very long time or consistently, you know that you know the end of that person, in the sense that you know that this person is growing in Christ. So like the power that we have been talking about in January, like the oil of ease and everything, the children or the child knows about it. He carries that power, he understands what that power means, and then we'll be able to have, like Pastor Tony said, about 16,000 or something churches. I mean, look at the society. It doesn't reflect well, in my opinion, that we have. I mean, you could go to any street, you see churches, you see you see house fellowship, you see cell center.
And the society is based on how the family is. If the family is not, how do I put
No, but sorry, just not to, I don't, sorry to cut you short, but if the society is what the family is, then are you saying, or will it be right to say that the church has failed? Because the society, which is the family is in the church.
You can't say it's the church generally, because it's not everybody that goes to church, if we want to be honest.
What about the ones that go
to church?
A lot of people go to church.
I guess what they're trying the message basically was just to shed more light on how focus needs to be on
the
making
family.
family more functional.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when the family is already like at that level, when you now mix different families, that
Because the
The
church
society
actually
will function.
is made up of those families as
it's
well.
going to make
Yes.
society functional. So the
Yes,
focus
that's the
right
point.
now is on making the home a godly one.
Yeah.
That way, the family,
society.
you've already like trained the children to know what to do, right? So when they are going out into the society, they're going to be acting based on the knowledge that they have gotten, based on what they know.
Yeah.
And that way, but so a lot of times, it's not just the society as a whole, because society is made up of individual, different units. Right? So the focus from that message was more just to make you aware that you need to work on your family first.
Yes.
When you can get that right, then I think there's a larger chance that society to
Get
Big
better.
chance,
Exactly.
big chance. So there was a Miles Monroe demonstration that really drives it on for me. A boy was disturbing his dad and everything, and his dad was like, go and find something to do. So he tore a page and just littered it all over the floor, and he told the guy to rearrange it. It was the map of the world, and within minutes the guy came back and he had assembled it, and the dad was like, how were you able to pull that off? And the guy was like, simple. On the other page was the picture of a family. So once he put that together,
The world.
That's them. Oh
was-
my god.
Wow.
Lovely.
Oh, that's so good. So what did you guys think about like the Valentine's service?
Yes, I was actually going to mention that. Because
Of course, you guys were going to mention it.
Oh yes. It's still funny enough. It
Yes.
seems like they were really jabbing the guys because Pastor Kola was still telling the guys that, oh, these are the 3 A's you should watch out for when you're dealing with the ladies.
Yeah.
Think
I
about
know
it.
that someone who, because I watched that sermon and I watched with someone, and I know that the comment that was made was that a lot of people I think that was why I really liked Pastor Tony's message, because they kind of seem to balance each other. So Pastor Kola spoke towards how the man should understand how the lady would behave and know how to respond to her and know what to do, and it's just how they are built. While Pastor Tony now focused on how the man should also act in himself,
Leadership,
right?
yes.
In himself,
Exactly.
and that way it's like you can have a balance between that. But then from the Valentine's Day message, I mean, I liked how he opened it with no pressure. Because a lot of people seem to just put a lot of pressure on the whole idea of Valentine.
Yeah, for me, I say every day should be a Valentine. You're
I
don't
I don't agree. Every day cannot be Valentine.
I
don't
think
get
it's
the
because
point.
of how you're thinking about it. I think you're thinking about the roses and the
No, that's I don't mean
chocolates.
gifts.
You just be your bees.
That's not what I mean. Okay, if you're saying every day should be Valentine's Day in the sense
I'm saying you don't have to wait.
Feel the love in the between the two of you every day, right?
Yeah.
I know someone who says that the fact that a couple have a disagreement doesn't necessarily mean that they hate each other. Their hearts are still very much in love, but at that time their mind is just angry, upset. But then that doesn't mean that you should now start to act a certain way. I think it was Pastor Tony that said when she and her husband have a disagreement, he still does everything that he's supposed to do. So if he makes tea for her every morning, whether they argue or not, he would still make tea, right? So that is how I think that is applicable. So every day it shouldn't be that, oh, because today is Valentine's Day, I'm going to be extra nice. Or
That's
I'm going to be
Exactly, so you're still agreeing
so it
with
should
him.
be, I agree.
Yes.
I agree. It should be that. Just look at your partner and just be like,
Yeah, find notes in one strange place in the house. Yeah.
I'm sure you used to write notes in primary school.
Secondary school.
But I mean, apart from that, it removed it, the message, Pastor Kola's message for me, removed it from the realm of Shakadaya Balakalaya. There is work to be done. Like there is work to be done. It's not only about reading the Bible. I'm not saying that's not, but it's practical. There's work to be done. You need to be affectionate. You need to affirm and all those things. So it's not really about just you doing all night and all those things, and then the next morning.
Yeah, another thing he said was knowledge. I read a lot of books. He spoke to mentors, but you know, knowledge is not useful if you don't apply it. So after you garner all the knowledge, you still have to apply. Then something else I liked about his message was, you know, like he said, all of us guys, we have the ideal woman, virtuous, gorgeous, and everything is set. But so you have to, like you said, you have to package her into what you want. So there are things that are more important than some things. So if it's character traits, those are things you can't really. But if it's physical, I mean, all of us, if we go back 10 years back, some of the pictures of us, if you see it, will burst out in laughter. So yeah, so there are some things that you can improve, but there are some areas that I know.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
will take
definitely.
a lot longer.
And I feel like a recurring theme for this month was they brought it to being human and not being so spiritual. Like yes, you're spiritual beings, but you're also humans, and you should know how to like balance both. And for me, I feel like that's something that needs to keep occurring in the church, because people in the church kind of forget, and then they're putting on the spiritual atmosphere outside, and then when they're inside, it's totally. And I feel like maybe that's why even a lot of these marriages are not working out, because
they feel they have to put up a show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not real.
Yeah.
Another thing from Reverend Odu always explore this thing. He said him and his wife, even when they are fighting, they keep talking. So he will be angry with you. I'm angry with you, but how to eat. So that anger cannot build up to where people have not talked for 4 days or something.
Yes, silence actually, I feel like silence actually makes it brew a whole lot more. When there's no communication, there's a lot of assumptions, and perception now just blurs reality, and it's just becomes.
And again, from Pastor Kola's message, I think that he showed a picture of a couple, or several couples, but one, I mean, I think 75 years they've been married. I can't even remember. They've been married for that long. Now,
from side to
I think those are the guys that probably should be writing on marriage counseling and all those things, man, because he mentioned, I gave like 5, and the one that I for me is find something to do with your spouse, at least one thing that you guys enjoy, because those kind of things, even when you are hungry, right, it might be difficult for you not to do it. So those kind of things actually make you guys grow together, even closer, even if you guys have anything in between you guys.
The truth is, despite all these things and all these sermons and everything surrounding marriage and family, what we still need to understand is that it's like different strokes for different people.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's not that it works for A, it works for B. There are some common factors, some of which I would say maybe communication is
ground principles.
Making God the center of the relationship of the family, right? And just making sure to identify what you do that will please the other, right? Things like that, and just being generally a good person to your spouse, understanding them, right? And also the spiritual part of it, praying and all that. So maybe those things are general. Aside from that, when you break it down, you still need to understand.
Specifically,
so
the person
for someone, it could be that your husband likes it that you cook for him and you make nice meals, and another person just likes that you watch football with him. That is what makes him happy. He wants to be able to have these conversations with you. Different things, right? So we need to just understand that as much as we're hearing, as much counseling as we take about all these things, we should also be able to filter
and understand
what really works for us as individuals and also for the family.
Yes, linking it up with what you have said, which is what from Pastor Kola's message, is almost the same thing with what Pastor Toyin said when she asked that, for instance, if your wife is not
is angry with you,
she's not sleeping with you.
Exactly. What will you do? You know, you don't just assume that maybe because ask questions like. There's one of the things I've read is that you don't take your spouse for granted. So you don't just assume that you know exactly what you need to do. Sometimes you need to ask the person a question. You need to find out. It might not even be you. That's the main thing. like the scenario Pastor Tony gave, it might actually be a work thing. It might not even be that the issue is at home. Yeah. So you sometimes, and by that you might even have carried unnecessary burden on yourself anyways. Exactly. So by asking, you also reduce your own burden. And you go straight to the answer instead of beating around the bush. You go and buy flour and it's not flour that's the problem. You know, you wasted money.
To relate all these things to Thanksgiving sermon, we still need to just be grateful and have a heart of Thanksgiving, regardless of what comes.
You know,
try as much as possible not to be comparison with others.
So
just be content
for the good things that you see.
And thank God as much as possible. The more gratitude you show, the better it gets. If you're content and happy with what you have, you'll be working to improve it better. And that way you're not going to be dwelling on the negative. I think gratitude just helps you to focus more on the positive and the things that are going right rather than the things that are going wrong. So that's also, so I think this past month, February, sermons where he
yes. So I mean, I always try to look at the funny side of things in all those messages, because from there, when I pick that up, it helps me to link up all the other whatever else was said in the message. For me, that Thanksgiving was the diving. Like, so meaning they don't die. They don't need to die.
It's not from the answer.
Exactly.
Because people die.
Over the past week, I've been very down. I mean, there's something that I expected to happen. I felt that maybe I was entitled to somewhat, and it didn't happen. So I was so down. I was questioning. I mean, I didn't even pray. I was like, what's the essence of praying? It's not going to answer anyways. But fast forward to Thursday, Friday, thereabout, I started thinking about what God did for me in 2020, and it wasn't something that was hidden, something that I could see. So mere seeing it reminded me of what God did. And I remember in 2019 I prayed about that thing. I want to have it before my birthday, and despite the COVID in 2020 and everything, I still got it. So that gave me a bit of an assurance that whatever I'm going through now is not really, it might be, I might feel entitled to it, I might feel that something went wrong or all those things, but God that did the one in 2020, in 2019 and previous years is able to do even more. So that got me out of that drowning or questioning God and everything, and moved me into the realm of, okay, we'll start praying again, we'll start taking the faith step again, we'll start giving thanks to God. And yes, and it was very, very helpful, and it just to count your blessing is very, very, you never really understand what that means, but you need to count it. You need to count your blessings.